Welcome back to the Smugsy Show. Every Wednesday we meet here to talk about important things and important people and what's more important than the war. So this week we'll discuss what one thing that's good about it. Plus, it's so long to Sig Chester and hello, Liz Cheney. But first, the Smugsy Show is presented to you by Smug Siggies, sleek and elegant joint ciggies rolled in all-natural, locally sourced paper using organic cannabis. Look for Smug Siggies in the pretty indigo and marigold packs. So, what's good about the war in Ukraine? The war that was started by Vladimir Putin on February 24th and is still going on despite the expectation it would be, over in a minute. Well, the only thing that's good about it, from my perspective, is that it's showing us what bravery and courage looks like. And examples of that this week, we've learned, include the brave people of a small city on the banks of the Bug River called Voznesensk. And what happened there on March 2nd and 3rd, we understand from our credible and reliable sources, is that the Russian army had planned a full offensive with a goal of capturing Ukrainian nuclear power plants and the key port city of Odessa. So if you look on a map, you'll see that Odessa is sort of the gateway. It's the gateway and the Achilles heel of Ukraine. If Russia takes Odessa, it's all over, is the bottom line. So the Russians left in a convoy from the Crimean Peninsula that Russia had annexed from Ukraine in 2014. And they had a convoy, a train of huge tanks and military vehicles and trucks containing all kinds of weaponry and missiles, and there was helicopters. And this convoy was making its way up from the Crimean Peninsula on its way to Odessa and the nuclear power plants. But it had to cross the Bug River, and it chose, as its crossing, much to its chagrin, the city of Voznesensk. And the city has about 35,000 people. It has a 32-year-old mayor, who's up until the war, a real estate broker, now an army general that carries a Kalashnikov on his back wherever he goes. So they got wind of this convoy, and they rallied the troops, they rallied the volunteers, and the good people of the village came together and developed a plan. And using engineers and landscaping companies and construction vehicles and smarts and courage and grit, they fought off in 2 days of battle, fought off the Russian army that retreated, left 30 vehicles, hundreds and hundreds of soldiers killed. And what they did was they blew up the bridge so they couldn't cross, and then they hid in the fields under wheelbarrows in the rain and used their cell phones and social media platforms to deliver signals of the whereabouts of the Russian tanks to their compatriots in the city, who would then use their shoulder missiles to take out the Russians. Unbelievable acts of bravery. And they succeeded. The Russians have retreated. The mayor's back to handling conflicts. The internet's back on. There's food in the grocery stores. And the good people of Voznesensk are having the last laugh. And I hope Vladimir Putin really is embarrassed by that. The second act of bravery, and the second good thing about the war that happened this week, is the courage shown by Russian journalist and producer for Russian state television, Channel 1, Marina Ovsyannikova. Okay, you probably heard about her. She, after Vladimir Putin put a law in the books that basically outlawed being a journalist, if you say anything against the special military operation in Ukraine that the Russian state propaganda describes as a liberation they're liberating Ukrainians from Nazis. It's complete nonsense. It's the big lie. But Putin enacted a law, right? An executive order. He's a dictator that made being a journalist and saying the truth an offense that could lead up to 15 years in prison. And this woman, after that law was passed, ran out on stage on the Russian state propaganda channel 1 during, high traffic prime time, and flashed an anti-war poster that was in both English and Russian that said, "No war, stop the war, don't believe propaganda, they lie here, Russians against war." And she was, of course, whisked away by the thugs, sent to the police station. People were wondering if we'd ever see her alive, but thankfully the spotlight shone on the incident by the likes of videos on YouTube that are thankfully making it through the Iron Curtain that Vladimir Putin is trying to put up around Russia. Well, she got fined a whopping 30,000 rubles, which, might have hurt before the war, but 30,000 rubles right now is basically nothing. So, our thanks to Marina, Ovsyannikova, and the good people of the city of Voznesensk. We're with you here on the Smugsy Show. And to our Russian fans, who we have a lot of. 60% of last week's show were Russians. 10% from Ukraine. 5% from Belarus. Be brave. Be brave. We're with you here on the Smugsy Show. Now, I can't help but think of the acts of bravery that I've just described, contrasted with some journalism that we saw here in the state of Maine recently. And that, what I'm referring to is some content, a video, that news center anchor Zach Blanchard felt compelled to make after the Florida democratic process passed a law that essentially gave parents the right to access their kids' medical records, and also says classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through third grade, or in a manner that is not age-appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students enrolled. Okay, so that law passes in Florida, and, most people think that's fine. Most people don't want their kindergarten through third graders to be given classroom instruction on sexual orientation and identity. And most people, in fact, everyone I know, believes that parents should have access to their child's health records, whether it's mental health or physical health. There are children. So getting back to Zach Blanchard, after the Florida legislature passed a law that awaits the signature of the governor using the democratic process, this anchor, a journalist, created a video, and he said that in his trim blue suit and suntan, boyish good looks, white teeth, Zach said, "As a journalist, it's not my job to share my opinion, but it is my job to share the facts." And he says that in the history of the television channel, the biggest one in Maine, there's only been 2 other editorials by journalists in the previous 10 years. But the passage of this Florida law was so monumental in his own mind that he felt compelled to talk about himself and give his opinion about the law that he characterized as facts. One thing he said as a fact: "This law will do nothing more than strengthen our divisions." But this is what really got me. He said, after saying that it's his job to share the facts, and then he said these are the facts, he said, "Children of gay parents can't talk about their 2 moms or dads," according to that law. Completely not true. Nothing in the law says that. No reasonable interpretation could be made of that. He says teachers can't reference their partners. Like gay teachers can't reference their partners. That's not a fact. It's just complete conjecture. It's self-promotion. It's clickbait. And it's not brave. What bravery would look like, if you want to talk about gender identity at this moment, what bravery would look like is going to Ukraine and interviewing some of the people who at the border have to decide whether they identify as a man or a woman, because that decision determines whether they're going to fight against the Russians or be a refugee and take care of the kids in some strange land. So, Zach Blanchard, it's not journalism. It's gender mania, okay? And sensationalism. And it's a product of celebrity culture in America, and it's gross. So I say stick with the news or be brave. So, get over yourself. Do the damn news. Go to Ukraine. Talk to the fleeing refugees, how their gender orientation and conversations about that are impacting their lives and deaths. The ultimate insult to this statement by Zach Blanchard about what he says with the facts, okay? The facts. He concludes his monologue, be yourself and ultimately love will always win. Now that's, those are nice sentiments. Very, certainly encouraging words, but not news, not bravery, not informed opinion. Clickbait. So now, on to some business. We need to inform Sig Chester, the show's investor in the last season, of the news. So let's do that now. No time like the present. Dear Sig Chester, I write to inform you I've left Barstool for Zelensky. I'm done with Russians and SPACs. The war changed everything, including the show. Every new season has its challenges and opportunities. The challenge, of course, in this season with Zelensky is to muster a dose of his courage and say anything or do anything worthy of all. But the opportunity is to rise to the occasion and contribute in some small way. So in addition to killing off the Barstool Cougar, I'd like my contribution to include all remaining funds in the Smugsy SPAC account to be directed at once to the University of Vermont Living Learning Center on Non-Nuclear War. Sincere wishes of good health to you and the girlfriend. I have nothing but gratitude for your immense contribution to the show last season, and will keep you in mind if any roles pop up. Thanks also for being a great ambassador of the Smugsy's brand. Regards to the girlfriend, Smugsy. Okay, well, the first formal endorsement now for the 2024 presidential election. I'm pleased to report that we endorse Liz Cheney to be the Republican primary candidate for president. And why? Well, stay tuned next week. And that's it for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. You can subscribe, leave a comment, follow me on Twitter at SmugsyGirl. Find all your favorite Smugsy content at syndicatemedia.net. That's syndicatemedia with a C.net. And until next time, this is Smugsy signing off. Take care.